Today we're tackling something that can feel like a pretty big hurdle if you're aiming for that next academic step, the PhD interview.
Definitely a source of anxiety for many.
Right. So we've pulled together a really comprehensive set of questions and answers. Our sources are PhD interviews at General English and another called Preparing for Your PhD Interview.
And our goal today is basically to demystify this a bit. We want to give you, the listener, a clearer picture of what to expect and how to approach these interviews, effectively.
Exactly. And importantly, this isn't just for one specific field.
That's a key point. You'll see examples mentioning, say, industrial engineering or urban planning, but honestly, the core questions, the advice it applies right across the board.
So whether you're looking at mechanical engineering, humanities, management, political science, psychology, anywhere, really.
Yeah, this foundational stuff is universal. Think of it as your basic toolkit for these interviews.
Okay, toolkit's ready. Let's jump right in. You're there. The interview starts. Maybe the very first thing is just, "Good morning, how are you today?" Seems simple. How much weight does this carry?
It carries more than you might think. It's that first impression. The advice is pretty clear. Be polite, be positive.
So something like, "I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?"
That's perfect. Or, "Very pleased to be here today." You could even acknowledge nerves, but positively, like a little nervous, but feeling good and excited for our chat.
I like that, acknowledging the nerves but still being positive. And you mentioned asking back. How about you? Why is that helpful?
Well, it shows a bit of confidence, right?
Yeah.
That makes it feel more like a conversation, less like an interrogation. PhD programs want collaborators, communicators.
Yeah.
It's a small signal you're comfortable with that back and forth.
Makes sense. That's a good tone. Okay. Next up, question 2, the big one. Can you briefly introduce yourself? What are the absolute must-haves here?
Keep it brief, really brief, like 2 to 4 sentences. Focus is key. Your education, your main research interests, and crucially, how they connect to this specific program.
So mentioning maybe your master's, the university, your interest area.
Exactly. Our sources list examples like industrial engineering, urban planning, data science, machine learning, AI, transportation, even specific project topics like software beg triage or transit accessibility, or universities like Toronto Met or U of T.
Right.
You might briefly link it to your thesis if it's super relevant, but the main advice: avoid personal stuff unless they ask directly. Keep it academic.
Got it. A focused academic snapshot.
Right. We've got examples here. Hadi Jahanshahi Masters from Toronto Met, industrial engineering focused on data science, ML, AI, specifically software bug triage.
Okay, very focused.
And Elnaz Yousefzadeh, University of Toronto, urban planning, transportation, looking at transit accessibility. Boom. Concise. Interviewers know immediately where they stand.
And that skill, boiling down who you are and what you do quickly and relevantly, that's useful everywhere, not just PhD interviews. Think about networking, right?
Totally. Okay, next up.
Then question 3. Could you tell us where you're from? How detailed should we get?
Just clear and concise. City and province or region is usually enough. Tehran, Tabriz were the examples given.
Okay.
You could briefly link your background to your academic interest if it feels natural and relevant, but probably best to steer clear of deep cultural or political talk unless it's core to your research.
Keep it brief. Keep it relevant to the academic path. Okay. Question 4. What motivated you to pursue a PhD? This is where the passion comes in, right?
Absolutely. You need to show that genuine drive for research, for digging deeper, and the best answers. They link motivation to specific experiences.
Not just, I love learning.
Right. Think about your master's project, maybe a teaching gig you had, a particular research challenge you enjoyed tackling. What specific problem or question hooked you? That's what they want to hear.
Connect it to real moments. Okay. Question 5. Why did you choose your field of study? How do we make that connection compelling?
It's about weaving your personal interests together with your studies or experiences. If you're into, say, environmental issues, explain how that passion led you here, maybe mention specific projects or courses.
So link personal interest to academic actions.
Yes, and make it feel genuine. Connect it to real-world stuff or your goals if you can. Sincerity matters here. They want to see that spark. Now, question 6 gets into the specifics of past work. What was your master's thesis about? Summarizing complex work briefly. Tricky.
It is. Aim for just 2 or 3 sentences. Key things. What was the main topic? What did you do the methods? And what was the significance, the main finding?
Okay, topic, method, significance.
Yeah. The examples mentioned were things like AI-based approaches to automating the bug triage process, maybe using task optimization or reinforcement learning in Python.
Right, I saw those.
Context could be like the Bugzilla issue tracking system, or maybe related to the City of Toronto using the Transportation Tomorrow survey and statistical analysis. The advice is avoid super dense jargon.
Make it understandable.
And if you can, just briefly hint at how it connects to what you want to do for your PhD. Show that progression.
Nice. Show the evolution. Question 7. What are your academic strengths? How do we pick the right ones?
Focus on maybe 2 or 3 strengths that are really relevant to doing research, and back them up with examples if you can, quickly.
So not just, I work hard. Exactly. The source mentioned things like organization, project management, good writing skills, being able to explain complex stuff clearly.
Okay.
Persistence, being detail-oriented with data. Be specific about your academic skills and how they'll help you succeed in the PhD.
Specific and research relevant. Got it. Then the flip side, question 8. What are some areas you still want to improve in? How do we answer this honestly but positively?
It's a balance. Show self-awareness, pick real areas for improvement, but make sure there are things you can actually work on and are already maybe taking steps to address.
So nothing that screams, I can't handle research.
Right. Examples given were things like public speaking, learning more advanced stats methods, or maybe refining academic English writing for top journals.
Things that show a growth mindset.
Exactly. Show you know where you want to develop and that you're proactive about it.
Okay. Sensible approach. Question 9 revisits experience. What research experience do you have? What should be covered here?
Definitely talk about your master's thesis again, maybe in a bit more detail this time. Also, any other projects, even side projects or collaborations.
Publications, conference stuff.
Yes, definitely mention those if you have them. And highlight the specific methods or tools you used. Remember those examples. AI-based approaches to automating the bug triage process, using task optimization, reinforcement learning, Python, maybe data sets like the Transportation Tomorrow survey, or labs like the Data Science Lab at Toronto Met University. Keep it concise, keep it relevant to the program you're applying for.
Showcase the hands-on stuff. Okay, question 10. How do you handle challenges in your research? What are they looking for in this answer?
They want to see a calm, methodical approach. Talk about how you break down problems, how you seek feedback, maybe from supervisors or peers.
Show resilience.
Yes, and adaptability, mentioning patience, flexibility. Maybe give a quick example of a challenge you faced and how you work through it methodically.
A problem-solving mindset. Good. Question 11 is about outputs. Have you published any papers? Can you talk about them? How do we navigate this?
Honesty first. Be clear. Published, submitted, in progress. If published, briefly give the title, the venue, journal or conference, and the main idea.
Like the examples. Urban Mobility Equity in Toronto at the International Conference on Urban Transportation.
Exactly. Focusing on the core area, like transportation planning, fairness, or maybe data-driven modeling, software bug triage, delivery optimization. Keep it brief and clear. If nothing's published yet, talk about what you're working on and plan to submit.
Straightforward and concise. Then question 12 digs deeper. Which of your publications are you most proud of and why? How do we pick one?
Choose one that means something to you. Explain why you're proud. Was it the impact? A really tough challenge you solved? A big learning curve?
Examples mentioned were things like accessibility gaps in low-income neighborhoods and trackless or deep reinforcement learning for meal delivery.
Right. Focus on the effort, the outcome, or your personal growth from that specific piece of work. Don't just say all of them. Show some reflection.
Reflect on a key achievement. Okay. Question 13 moves to teamwork. Have you worked in a research team before? What was your role? What's important to emphasize?
If you have, mention the team size and be specific about your contributions. What technical things did you do? What collaborative roles did you play?
Like communication, keeping things organized.
Exactly. Highlight how teamwork helped you grow those skills. Communication, task coordination, working towards a shared goal.
Show you're a good collaborator. Makes sense. Question 14 is interesting. Can you explain a complex topic from your field to a non-expert? Why test this?
It's huge. It shows communication skills vital for teaching, for interdisciplinary work, for just getting your ideas across. Pick something core to your field.
Like the gravity model example.
Yeah, the source used the gravity model in transportation, comparing it to actual gravity based on population mass and distance. Use simple language, analogies, avoid jargon. It shows you really understand it if you can simplify it.
Right. If you can teach it, you know it. Great skill. Question 15. How do you stay updated with new developments in your field? What methods show you're engaged?
Mention specific things you actively do. Reading key journals like Transportation Research Part D, Knowledge-Based Systems, i.e. Transactions on Software Engineering. Those were examples.
Following specific researchers?
Yep. Using Google Scholar or ResearchGate. Attending webinars, conferences, software engineering, transportation conferences were mentioned. Being active in online academic circles. Show you're plugged in.
Proactive learning.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 16 gets specific to the application. Why do you want to join our university specifically? How do we avoid sounding generic?
Research is key here. Go beyond just, it's a great school. Mention specific strengths, like maybe their reputation in data science, machine learning, or transportation.
Reference actual faculty work.
Definitely. Mention a professor whose work interests you, maybe a specific project or paper. Talk about unique resources or centers if they're relevant to you. Show you've done your homework and have genuine reasons for choosing them.
Specificity shows real interest. That leads right into 17. Which professors at our department do you want to work with? How to approach this?
Pick one or two whose research genuinely aligns with yours. Name them. The examples were Stephen Farber, Michael Widener, Aisha Bosher, Mustafa Beydozan.
And mention their work specifically.
Yes. Briefly mention a project or paper of theirs that caught your eye, maybe related to transportation poverty or machine learning. Explain why their work connects with your interests and how you could potentially fit in. Shows you've thought it through.
Targeted interest. Okay. 18. How does your research interest align with our program? How do we frame this connection?
Use words that emphasize the connection, overlap, alignment, shared interest. Talk about how your specific research topic fits into the department's broader themes or strengths.
Mention methods or theories they use.
Yeah, if there's overlap there, definitely mention it. Explain how this alignment makes it a great environment for you and how you could contribute back to their research community.
Show that synergy. 19. What do you know about our department's current research? How do we show broader awareness?
Demonstrate you know more than just the one or two professors you mentioned. Talk about the department's main research areas or themes. If you know about specific big projects, research groups, or recent high-profile publications, mention them. Shows initiative.
You've looked beyond individual profiles. Good. 20. Have you contacted any faculty members here before applying? How to answer this?
Just be honest.
Yeah.
If yes, name them. Matthew Palm, Anna Kramer were the examples. Briefly say why you contacted them, maybe an inquiry about their research or PhD spots. If they encouraged you, you could mention that briefly.
And if not?
Just say you haven't contacted anyone directly yet, but you've been looking at their work online, and you're keen to connect if admitted. Honesty is best.
Professional and honest. Okay, shifting gears to the future. 21. What are your long-term academic or career goals? How clear should we be?
Be clear, but also realistic. For PhD, aiming for an academic career research, teaching is very common and expected. Talk about contributing to knowledge, maybe leading research someday.
What about non-academic paths?
You can mention being open to research-heavy roles outside academia, like in specific organizations or think tanks. That fits your field. The main thing is showing a commitment to a research-focused future.
A clear research trajectory. 22 builds on this. Where you see yourself in 5 years, how to answer realistically.
Align it with the PhD timeline. In 5 years, you'd likely be deep into your research, hopefully presented at conferences, maybe have a publication or two underway.
Preparing for the next step.
Exactly. Mention looking towards postdocs or early academic positions. Show ambition, but keep it grounded in the PhD process.
Anticipate the path. 23. How would this PhD help you achieve your goals? Connecting the program to our aspirations.
Be explicit. Link specific things about this program, faculty expertise, resources, courses, collaborative opportunities directly to your long-term goals. Show how this program provides the skills, knowledge, and mentorship you need.
Make those direct connections. 24. What makes you a good fit for our program? Selling ourselves as the right candidate.
It's about synergy. Highlight how your background, skills, and maybe even your mindset align with their specific program focus and environment.
Go beyond the CV.
Yes. Talk about your collaborative nature, your persistence, your passion for the specific research happening there. Why would you be a valuable addition to their community?
Show you'll contribute, not just benefit. 25 is about practicalities. How do you manage your time between research, reading, and personal life? Demonstrating organization.
Describe your strategies. Do you use schedules, prioritize tasks, use digital tools, break down big projects?
Mention work-life balance.
Definitely. Acknowledge the PhD is demanding, but show you understand the need for balance to stay productive and avoid burnout. Show you have coping mechanisms.
Effective self-management. 26 anticipates bumps. What challenges do you expect to face during your PhD, and how will you handle them? How to tackle this maturely?
Acknowledge challenges are normal research uncertainty, stress, managing time over the long haul. But the key is focusing on your strategies for dealing with them.
Like talking to supervisors, peer support.
Exactly. Seeking feedback, breaking down tasks, self-care. It shows you're realistic, you've thought ahead, and you have proactive ways to cope.
Realistic and prepared. 27 is crucial. Funding. Are you planning to apply for funding or scholarships? What's the right message?
Show you're proactive. Mention you plan to apply for scholarships, both internal and external. If you've already researched some specific ones, even better name them.
Express willingness for Tara roles.
Absolutely. Show you're willing to contribute through teaching or research assistantships as a way to gain experience and potentially secure funding. Shows commitment.
Initiative is key. 28 follows up. Are you open to working as a teaching assistant or a research assistant? The answer.
If you're genuinely able and willing, then yes, absolutely. Express enthusiasm for both roles. Highlight the experience you'd gain. If you have prior TA or RA experience, mention it briefly.
Show willingness to contribute. 29. Have you ever taught a class or led any academic workshops?
Yeah.
What counts here?
Anything counts, really.
Yeah.
Formal classes, informal tutorials, study groups, workshops, even assisting a professor.
Focus on skills gained.
Yes. Talk about communication, explaining things, guiding students, even if it was informal. What did you learn from it?
Highlight communication and guidance skills. 30. How do you deal with academic criticism or feedback? Showing receptiveness.
Frame feedback positively. Emphasize you see it as crucial for learning and improving. You listen, try to understand, and you're willing to revise based on constructive points.
Maybe a quick example.
Yeah, if you have one where feedback really helped, mention it briefly. Shows maturity and a non-defensive, growth-oriented attitude.
Openness to learning. 31. What software tools or programming languages do you use in your research? How specific?
Be specific. If it's Python, mention key libraries like PyTorch, Pandas, scikit-learn, Matplotlib, GIS. Mention ArcGIS or QGIS. Stats, R, maybe. Writing, LaTeX.
Show your technical toolkit.
Exactly. It demonstrates you have the practical skills needed for research in your field.
Got it. 32. Do you have experience working with datasets or lab equipment? How to answer if it's mostly data, not labs.
Focus on the data experience. Mention specific data sets like the Transportation Tomorrow survey example. Talk about size, complexity, how you analyzed it.
Mention the tools used for data.
Yes, Python, R, Excel, whatever you use for cleaning, analysis, visualization. If you do have lab experience, be specific about the equipment and techniques. Tailor it to your research type.
Highlight relevant methodological experience. 33 revisits communication. How would you explain your research to someone from another discipline?
Right, similar to the non-expert question, but maybe assuming a slightly more academic but still outside your field audience. Again, simple language. Avoid jargon. Focus on the why, the bigger picture, the potential impact.
Like the example about improving transportation planning using data and machine learning.
Exactly. Make it understandable and show its relevance beyond the niche technical details. Good communication again.
Bridging disciplinary gaps. 34. Can you describe a time when your research didn't go as planned? Framing setbacks positively.
Pick a real example. The key isn't the problem itself, but how you reacted. What steps did you take? What did you learn?
Like the example of dataset delays leading to adapting the methodology.
Perfect. It shows problem solving, adaptability, resilience, all essential for researchers. Turn a challenge into a demonstration of your skills.
Learning from adversity. 35. How do you stay motivated during long or difficult research phases? Showing endurance.
Talk about your strategies, setting small goals, getting support from peers or mentors, reminding yourself why the work matters.
Share self-awareness about motivation.
Yeah, demonstrate you have ways to keep yourself going when things get tough because, they inevitably do in a PhD.
Strategies for the long haul. 36. How do you handle working under pressure or tight deadlines? Managing stress effectively.
Describe your coping mechanisms, prioritizing tasks, making schedules, staying calm, breaking things down, maybe mentioning how you manage distractions.
Show you can stay productive under pressure.
Exactly. That you have techniques to remain effective when the crunch time comes.
Okay, 37. Are you more comfortable working independently or in a team? Navigating this preference question.
Best bet. Emphasize you're comfortable and effective in both modes. Value independent work for deep focus, but also value teamwork for collaboration and diverse ideas.
Highlight adaptability.
Yes. Show you can adapt to whatever the task requires. Maybe give quick examples of succeeding in both scenarios. Versatility is good.
Adaptable researcher. 38. Tell us about a successful collaboration you've had. What makes a good example?
Be specific about the project. Explain the roles, how you divided tasks, how you communicated. Crucially, focus on the positive outcome and how teamwork made it better.
Like the urban mobility project example.
Right. What did you learn about collaboration from that experience? Show you understand team dynamics.
Focus on synergy and outcomes. 39. Have you ever supervised or mentored junior students? What counts?
Again, formal or informal. Assisting undergrads, helping new lab members, leading study groups.
Focus on the skills used.
Yes. Explaining things, giving feedback, fostering their learning. It shows leadership potential and willingness to contribute to others' development.
Mentoring potential. 40. What are some of the most important qualities of a good researcher? Showing understanding of the role.
List maybe 3 to 5 key qualities. Curiosity, persistence, attention to detail were mentioned. You could add critical thinking, openness to feedback, ethical responsibility.
Explain why they're important.
Briefly, yes. Show you've thought about what it takes to do research well.
A reflective view on research qualities. 41. How do you approach problem solving in your academic work? Describing your process. Lay out your steps logically. Define the problem, review literature, brainstorm methods, experimentalize, evaluate, revise. Show a systematic, analytical approach.
Emphasize iteration and learning.
Definitely. Show you're willing to adapt and learn from the process, not just follow a rigid plan.
Structured yet flexible problem solving. 42. Ethics. What ethical issues do you consider in your research? Demonstrating integrity. Focus on the core principles. Informed consent, privacy, confidentiality, honest reporting of findings, good or bad, proper citation to avoid plagiarism.
Show awareness of responsibility.
Absolutely. It's fundamental. Show you understand and prioritize ethical conduct in research.
Foundational integrity. 43. If accepted, what would be the first thing you want to start working on? Showing eagerness to start.
Convey enthusiasm and a plan. First step. Meet with the potential supervisor. Discuss the proposal. Refine the plan based on their input.
Start hitting the books.
Yeah, mention starting a deep dive into the literature review to build that strong foundation right away. Shows you're ready to get going.
Ready to hit the ground running. 44. Do you have any plans for publishing during your PhD? Setting realistic goals.
Express that publishing is definitely a goal. Aiming for peer-reviewed publications is standard. Maybe mention aiming for one a year or being open to co-authoring.
Ambitious but grounded.
Exactly. Shows you understand the importance of dissemination and you're proactive about it.
Planning for impact. 45. Do you plan to attend international conferences or present your work? Engaging with the community.
Yes. Emphasize the value you see in conferences. Getting feedback, networking, staying current, practicing presentation skills. Show you want to be an active part of the academic conversation.
Value of feedback and networking. 46. What makes you stand out from other applicants? Your unique selling proposition.
This is where you tie it together. What's your unique blend? Strong research skills plus maybe a unique perspective. Highlight your key strengths, motivation, collaborative spirit. Why are you a particularly strong candidate for them?
Synthesize your strengths. 47. Is there anything else you'd like us to know about you? Final chance to add something.
Use it strategically. Briefly reiterate your keen interest. Maybe highlight one key skill or experience you didn't get to emphasize enough, or just reinforce your enthusiasm. Keep it concise.
A final positive reinforcement. 48. Your turn. Do you have any questions for us? Why is asking questions so important?
Crucial. Shows you're engaged, interested, and you thought beyond just answering their questions. Prepare 1 or 2 thoughtful questions.
What kind of questions work well?
Things about mentorship, how students typically progress, interdisciplinary opportunities, specific resources. Avoid stuff easily found on the website. Show genuine curiosity about the program experience.
Demonstrate engagement. 49. How did you find the application and interview process? Reflecting politely.
Keep it professional and positive. You found it clear, well-organized, appreciated the opportunity. Thank them for their time. Simple, gracious.
Positive and respectful. And finally, 50. Thank you for coming. Is there anything you'd like to add before we end? The very last word.
Simple thank you again. Reiterate your strong interest and enthusiasm one last time. Leave them with a clear sense of your commitment.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive on PhD interviews, the main takeaway seems to be prepare thoroughly. Understand the questions, craft honest answers rooted in your experiences, and let your passion for research shine through.
That's it, exactly. And remember, while we use some specific examples from fields like engineering or planning, these strategies, these question types, they really do apply broadly.
Whatever your field, this framework should help.
It gives you a solid foundation. But definitely don't stop here. You absolutely need to do that deep dive into the specific programs and faculty you're interested in. Tailor your preparation.
Absolutely. Personal research is key.
Indeed.
This has been a deep dive into preparing for your PhD interview.
Thanks for tuning in.
Visit telegram.com/General English or Instagram.com/General English.